Amber Kivett here, streaming live from my facility, Kivett Kinetic Solutions, in Indiana. And you see my dog here, Jules. She's going to join us here for this demonstration on a new product that we have out. And this is our portable cryotherapy polar plunge tub. So I'm going to kind of go through some things with you. We're running a little later than usual on this stream because it is in the high 90s here at Kivett Kinetic Solutions, and the screen fogs in and out because of how humid and how hot it is. So we had to wait for everything to come back to neutral. But today is a great day to be sharing the benefits of being able to use the Polar Plunge tub that's portable, it's inflatable, super easy to carry around, super lightweight. And I think we've been needing this in our industry, not only for sports medicine, but also in general, just for systemic inflammation and for recovery at home. So whether you are a seasoned athlete, you've got kids that are performing in athletics, if you are somebody who is just wanting to work on chronic pain by reducing systemic inflammation, cryotherapy, polar plunging, like deep soaking in ice is a very, very popular trend going on right now, but it actually dates all the way back to the Roman Empire. In fact, a lot of soldiers back during the Roman Empire, the building of the Roman Empire centuries ago actually used to soak in these really, really cold tubs of water in order to help recover from their battle wounds and scars and just injury in order to be fresh and ready to go again. And so we are seeing a lot of European countries doing that. A lot of other countries do that for the purpose of aging backwards and getting to their optimal levels of self so that they can truly enjoy life. And we're starting to see it here a lot more in the United States, but it goes back into the US within sports medicine, which is the field that I practice in. And so this is not anything new to some of you. If you are a doctor, a chiropractor, you're a therapist, or a coach, and you're used to whirlpool tubs being performed with or being used with athletes, professional athletes especially, to reduce inflammation after performance, now you can actually have it from the convenience of your front porch or from your garage or wherever it is that's convenient. I'm sitting out here on my front porch in my facility. And so I'm going to go through and show you kind of what is involved with putting this together, how it works, optimal purpose, and how to use it with breathing, and some contraindications just to be aware of so you know how to modify use. I am a survivor of fibromyalgia, so I do have flare-ups of fibromyalgia, and a lot of research has been able to prove that those who have autoimmune disease, systemic chronic inflammation, cryotherapy is actually quite effective in lower doses of application. So you're going to find in your user's manual that a cryotherapy application for our chill tub is going to be more along the lines of 10 to 15 minutes, but I'm going to teach you how to do this 5 to 7 minutes, at most 10 minutes. So if you have any underlying conditions where you have a reaction to cold, especially Raynaud's syndrome, where you don't feel your extremities, or you're diabetic, where you already have a compromised ability of circulatory issues, we want to make sure that we're erring to the side of caution and just being able to make contact with cold water. It doesn't even have to be at 40 degrees, but being at cold water actually zaps the vagus nerve and kind of reboots the button to resetting our system. So you don't have to sit in the tub for a long period of time. You just have to get a little taste of it and work your way up, because it's really good for kind of flipping the switch in the polyvagal nerve theory of application of trying to slow down the sympathetic nervous system response and really tapping into that parasympathetic nervous system response by utilizing the vagal nerve for that mode of transportation. So I'm going to show you some things. I'm out here. I'm going to be ready to get wet with you. You're going to get to see that, but I'm going to make some adjustments here to my camera screen so you can see me kind of assemble this tub. And it is really hot out, so my dog is avoiding us. She normally is in the moment, so as soon as I turn the hose on, you're going to see probably my dog wanting to join us in this episode. So if you are able to connect with me, let me know kind of if you are needing to use this for a certain purpose. We are live on YouTube and Facebook, and this is being recorded, so it'll be shared, uploaded to YouTube and Facebook in our groups for later review if you're missing or coming and going. Whew, I tell you what, humidity and heat makes it really hard to acclimate outside. So I want to also take this time to talk about heat exhaustion and heat illness because it is really hard to breathe out here, but I'm not living at altitude. It's just because the humidity, no fresh air circulating in the atmosphere right now. So make sure that you are taking care of yourselves because I know there's this ginormous heat wave going through. It's been over 100 degrees here in Indiana every day this week. And for kids and athletes who are performing outside, it's very, very dangerous, especially if you've had a history of a head injury. If you have any history of autoimmune disease or head injury, you respond to heat illness much more than anybody who has not had any kind of a challenge. So it is tricky to talk out here today because it's so hot. But anyhow, this is the Allevachill Ice Tub. I'm so excited that we have this out and available for purchase now. It's selling for $119.99. We're just going to say $120 for short to keep it simple. But it is really cool how it works because I have spent a couple of $100s on having a molded plastic cryo plunge trough out here to fit 6-foot tall athletes to be able to submerge all the way up to their neck. And because we didn't have anything like this a couple years ago when I used to offer that service out here in the form of nature bathing, if you will, which is actually really good for you. So you're going to get to experience live nature bathing virtually with me in the moment. I'm actually going to fill this up so you can see how long it takes to fill it and how to assemble it. We're going to talk about the benefits, how to use it, how to clean it, and then you're actually going to see me experience it. We do not have the 25 pounds of ice that I would normally put in this here today because to try and keep it chilled without it melting fast enough, not ideal for today, but it is meant to be using with ice. So what I would recommend is just start with using like a 15 to 20 pound bag of ice or however many pounds it takes for you to accumulate that. But ideally, we want this tub to be about a quarter full at a minimum of ice so that you don't melt it using your own body heat when you actually submerge into it. You want to get the temperature, ideally, if you've got a thermometer that you can keep track of the temperature. The minimum temperature that this can tolerate is going to be around 52.7 degrees Fahrenheit when it comes to maintaining that temperature. Optimal temperature for a cryo plunge is about 42 degrees for less than 7 minutes. If you're going to be in the cryo plunge in the ice tub for more than 10 minutes, 55 degrees to 65 degrees is going to be your range. So if you're planning on submerging in this for a long period of time beyond 7 minutes, don't get your temperature any colder than 55 degrees because then you can actually suffer from hypothermia even if it's 98 degrees outside. So make sure that you are erring to the side of caution. This tub sits at dimension-wise, it's 2.46 feet high, and it's got a full circumference of about 3 feet across. So you can actually fit somebody in here who is 6 foot tall just fine. Now, mind you, you're not going to be sitting with your legs out in front of you like you would if you were actually in a cryo plunge tub. But I can tell you most athletic training room, most athletic training room whirlpool tubs are going to be a little bit bigger than this for 2 athletes. So for one person, this is a really nice size that doesn't take up a lot of space. You're going to see that we already inflated the top rim, which is for the sole purpose of a headrest, a neck rest. And I'm just going to give you full warning. We do provide the inflatable pump, which is manual mode operation only. And we found this to be really challenging to keep up with, very labor intensive. So I would highly recommend that if you have access to a portable electric pump or a bike pump where you can really generate a lot of air with less energy, this is just to get you by. In fact, my assistant was helping me with this, and at one point she actually tried to blow it up with her mouth, which actually was easier than her laboring this pump. So remember, we're providing you the resources just to get started. if you need to. But if you happen to have an electrical portable pump, or you happen to have an air compressor, you're going to be able to inflate just the top ring of this much faster than manual mode with this pump here. Now, the inside of it is it's made of a vinyl. The tub empty is only 6 pounds. Here's the thing: when you fill this up, you're not gonna be able to move it. You're gonna have to drain it in order to move it. And it does come with a cover that you can contain and protect it from bugs and debris, things like that. So you can actually keep this covered. If you keep it in your garage on a covered porch, or you keep it outside, what have you, you're not gonna be able to move this because it'll weigh over 700 pounds when it's full of water and ice. So make sure that wherever you're going to sit it up, that you don't want to move it, but it only weighs 6 pounds, even with all the upright posts that I'm going to show you how those work here in just a second. The tub capacity is just a little less than 100 gallons. So it's about 92 gallons total water. You don't have to fill it up that far. You can just use it for partial. So if you're just wanting to submerge a foot or an ankle or a knee, if you're coming off of a total knee replacement or knee surgery, and you're not wanting to use the cup and you're wanting to actually use a cryo plunge tub like the Allevachill, you can do that from a seated position. And like I said, it sits tall enough that you can use this neck rest to kind of support yourself once we get situated here. So just want to give you some just general guidelines. Here's the other thing: you can also fill this up with warm water. Okay, there's no turbine, there's no circulator inside here to circulate the water, so it's not meant to be a whirlpool. It's just meant to be a plunge tub. You can use warm water. Ideal temperature for warm water, if you're doing warm or hot therapy, is going to be 101 to 104 degrees. So if you're wanting to do some combo treatments and you want to have two of these tubs sitting side by side, which is very, very popular right now in human performance, you can have one hot tub, you can have one chill tub, and then you can go back and forth between the two for less than $250, which is unheard of, because a cryo tub, in order to do it in multiple fashion and being able to keep it all in one space, is going to run you several thousands of dollars. So this is really, really cool. You will also find on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube that this is like a really big trend right now, having something like this portable because it's convenient. But again, the clinical studies that we have had for decades prove that using an ice tub or a chill tub in order to lower inflammation, whether it's from an acute injury or whether it's from chronic systemic stress, is really, really effective. So you use less medication, less downtime, you feel more energized. The vagus nerve starts to flip that switch back to getting you feeling more refreshed, more restored, and pain goes away. So I'm going to show you how to apply this. It is made on the interior, it's a PVC vinyl, and then on the outside of this, it's actually a ripstop material. Kind of reminds you of the, excuse me, of the type of material you would see like on a boating inner tube, or like a tent on the outside. It is again a really, really nice ripstop polyester fabric that is waterproof, so you don't have to worry about it seeping through, and it's very, very well contained. Now, on the bottom here, you actually have, if you don't have a hose, we do provide you an extra little slinky hose. And what this is for is to actually attach it to your faucet. If you have like a shop sink that you want to work from, this expands, little sound effect there, okay? It expands and contracts, and it actually attaches here on the inside of this valve, so that you can actually attach it to a spigot with a sink, if that's what you're wanting to do. Or you can even attach it to an extension if you're not having the right hose fitting for your garden hose or for whatever you're using to fill with water. It's an adapter to being able to provide that for you. For filling or for draining, okay? And it also has this little valve that you actually turn it from one to the other, which actually turns this off so that you don't leak water. So it's a great option for filling it if you're not wanting to fill it over the top using your handy dandy garden hose, which I have here, you can use your shop sink or whatever it is you have from a water source. If you're camping, for instance, and you're wanting to hook it up at a campsite and you don't have access to a hose, you can use a water source. If you're at a campground, use it for bathing. How about that? A portable bathtub. You know me, I like to repurpose things, right? Find all different ways of how you can use one item for the same cost of multiple different outcomes. So I like to tweak and hack and use it for a variety of different things. So that's your attachment to being able to fill it from a different resource. Okay, so now we're going to get into the bottom. It actually has a drain plug here. So it has a little hole here and the hole here. Okay, so once you close that hole, that's what seals it off to hold the water. Okay, and so you don't have to worry about how you're going to empty it. You don't have to knock it over. You just have to pull the plug. So works really well. You don't have to have good grip strength, but just there's your plug that keeps the water contained. When you're ready to drain it, just reach in and pull that open, and then the water will leak. Make sure you have a place that is really good for draining water, because again, it's almost 100 gallons of water. So, I mean, again, you can contain this. You can use the cover so that you can use the same fill up every time. Now, the other thing I want you to remember from a safety standpoint is when you are filling this up, make sure that you have an area that's non-slip. We are on a wood decking, but I still have a mat underneath of me, so that not only do I provide a nice, smooth, seamless surface, because I don't want to feel these boards underneath my booty, but it's also nice when you get out to have something else to step on in order to dry off. And then make sure that you have a towel handy so that you don't have to walk through your house or wherever to get a towel, because you might not remember to do that. Now, these have multiple little holes at the bottom, and those are for these uprights. Okay, the uprights have little rubber stoppers on the bottom, so it keeps it from shifting on the floor. And when you see here on the holes, basically these just slide up and then they fill all the way up to the top. So I'm just going to slide this through here. We've already tried this once, so I'm seasoned to figuring this out. It was really fun when we first got it to put it together and be like, wow, this is like really cool, especially for being in a facility where people come for recovery purposes, to not have to set up the cattle trough, which is $200-300, to being able to set this up for multiple people. And we didn't have to worry about leaving it here. And then when it comes to draining that trough, like trying to move it and empty it, it just is a pain in the butt. And it weighs, if the cattle trough alone by itself weighs about 200 pounds. So then when you fill that up, it weighs even more. Now, these are really tight little spaces. So you're going to use your finger to lift up the hole and slide the post up until it hits the top point. So I'll show you this really up close in person so you can see it. But so wherever you see a white circle is where one of these posts is going to go. Okay. And so in order to find how to get in there, take your finger, stick your finger in there. It's going to be the end that doesn't have the non-slip stopper on it. So the rubber tip. Okay, and you're going to slide it in there. It likes to close up on it because there's just enough room for this to work right, that you can slide that up in there. And there you have it. And then we just rotate. And we do that all the way around until all of our posts are where it should be. And then after we get all the posts in there, I'm going to start filling up with water, which will take just a little bit of time. But while I'm filling it up with water, cold water from the farm, you can learn about tips for using it, how to wash it, how to disinfect it, how to, contraindications and tips and tricks for using it, positions you can use it. Okay, so there's that. Remember, one thing to remember, if you've got kids at home, it only takes 2 inches of water to drown. You don't have to have much water to have a drowning. So please make sure that you are mindful of your children around the house, because kids are attracted to water. And if they don't know how to swim, or if they fall in by accident face first, you have a very bad situation on your hands. So please make sure not to leave the tub unattended for pets or for children or those with special needs who don't understand that they have to be able to, use it responsibly. We don't want anybody to drown in in the Allevachill, but it can happen. So I like to throw that out there ahead of time. So just sliding that in, and we're down to the last one. And then I am dripping of sweat, so I'm gonna get me a drink of water here to promote that hydration. All right, so now we got it all put together. Okay, so sitting upright, it just positions itself nice and circumferential. And what is gonna make it really retain its shape is when we fill it up with water. The water just fills in and it looks and holds its shape really, really nice. Okay, so there is how you assemble it. We have extra parts in here in case you need them for the valves or for the seals. Okay, all that comes in your kit. And then as far as storing it, it will all fold up strategically in this bag, which carries all of the uprights, and you can store this in a very easy space. Okay. And then again, when you're not using it, this goes on top, and you can cinch this down on the side so that you can contain it from critters. All right. We're going to go through the user manual here briefly on contraindications here in just a moment, but I'm going to go ahead and get this started on filling. And again, this water is very cold. Whoops. Got a little tripped up there with my garden hose. Let's try this again. There we go. I think my dog gave up on us because it's too hot for her. She likes laying inside. She didn't realize she was going to miss out on a good time. Okay. So we got our garden hose on, and I like to use these that have a little stop on them. You don't have to worry about holding the hose down the whole time. And there we go. Woo! Well, that's not supposed to happen. That was a loose hose for you. Loose hose. That's what happens when you have a hose made out of fabric so that you don't get kinked. Now, because I don't want to stand here and work with this sprayer and it go bonkers on me, I'm going to actually unscrew this. The nice thing about having the hose, the tip to the hose, is I don't have to worry about turning the spigot off. So I didn't want to interrupt, but we're going to interrupt, and I'm going to go ahead and take this attachment off and just let it fill up so that my hose does not go crazy on us while I'm talking to y'all. And you'll be able to see that we don't have any leaks. Whew, this hose is on here tight. Somebody did a number on me. Maybe we will get it off, and there we go. There we go. You're gonna get to see me splashed. Here it comes. Wait for it. Okay, time out. I gotta turn the hose off because I'm having trouble with my hose disconnecting with the pressure on. So bear with me for just 1 second. If you have questions about anything, feel free to post. I'm going to answer whatever questions you might have while this is filling up. There we go. Whew. Now we got a happy hose. Okay, turn that water back on. Nice and cold water. And again, if you want to add ice, it's meant to have ice in it. So it is meant to handle very cold temperatures of ice. And if you can see here, I'm leaking out the edge because I forgot to close off the valve. So make sure you close your valve off so that you don't end up with water in your facility or your garage or your home or what have you. Okay, now let's talk about what we got here. Yes, So somebody asked, do you want to use a thermometer to check the temperature? Absolutely. If you get yourself like a pool thermometer, or you get yourself like a temperature gauge, you can keep track of AC, or you don't want to use like a thermometer to check your temperature, because it's it can take a little bit of time. So if you get yourself a portable, just a cheapie, like $2 to $5 pool thermometer or hot tub thermometer, and stick it in there just to get an idea of what the initial temperature is, whether you're using cold or hot. A lot of science, if you're using what's called the Wim Hof method, that is associated with breathing, if you're using that method with the cryo, you're going to keep that optimal temperature to about 42 to 45 degrees, but you're only in it for maybe 7 minutes, because again, you can actually cause frostbite, even if it's 100 degrees outside, which it is here with the heat index. So make sure that you know what the temperature is of your water, and is the water therapeutic if it is colder than, or if it is warmer than like 60 degrees, not as much. So make sure, if you're trying to do it for the purpose of inflammation, and you're trying to use it for the purpose of cold submersion, anything warmer than like 60 degrees for water temperature is not going to be as effective. But if you are diabetic, or you got compromised circulation, and you want just a little bit of a shock on the system for the vagus nerve to go back into that parasympathetic state, and you're using the autonomic nervous system and the polyvagal nerve theory. For those of you who have Raynaud's or compromised circulation, if 60 degrees or 65 degrees of water temperature works best for you, feel free to try that. But just remember, if you are just now getting used to this kind of treatment for yourself at home, start out with less. So it might mean that you just try for 2 minutes instead of for 5 minutes, or 4 minutes versus 7 minutes. But I'm just going to tell you, the first 2 minutes that you are submerged in the water is going to make you feel really sick to your stomach, because it is a shock to the system. And so the vagus nerve actually actively works with the gut. So if it makes you feel like you're going to throw up when you actually get into the cold plunge, the Allevachill ice tub with ice in it, that is normal. It takes about 2 minutes for things to go numb, which is normal. It'll feel like a burning sensation before you can't feel the cold anymore. And then it's very, very calming, and it becomes a meditational experience. So if you see we're outside in the middle of nowhere in the trees, it makes it for an entire experience to be able to enjoy that. So right now we're about half full, okay? And I'm going to clear off my chair here. Whoops, the hose is going crazy. The hose is going really crazy. We recommend not to use a soft-sided hose. So the nature bathing experience is great. I know you didn't expect that you're going to get to see Amber in the wet and wild side of things, but here we are. So if you have trouble with the hose staying in the water, then turn your water pressure down if you have to. But like I said, I've got a cloth hose so that we don't have the kinking problem and the tears, and it can make for kind of a wild experience of trying to fill. But we're halfway full now. It's about up to here right now, and as you can see, it hasn't taken very long. If you are not used to cold water submersion, I'm going to suggest to you that you get into the habit of taking a cold shower, or ending your warm shower with a cold surge of energy before you attempt immersion therapy, because it is like I said, you're trying to shock the system if you have systemic chronic inflammation or autoimmune disease. And there are some individuals who can respond really well, and they can actually go into remission, whether it is from chronic pain. Like I said, I've got fibromyalgia, so I don't like cold temperatures outside. Cold, mountainous or extreme cold temperatures in the winter are very painful for me. If I am out in it too long, I get very stiff. But cold water submersion is actually great in short doses for lowering levels of inflammation in the entire body. But if you have trouble with allowing your body to submerge into the entire tub, you can just start with your legs below the knee and see how you respond to that first. But again, if you don't like being in a cold shower, this is going to take some mental training to get into the acclimation. Here's what I want you to remember. Because we are trying to use this with intention of alleviating pain, just remember not to fight it. Like, just know that what you're doing to your body from an intentional standpoint is allowing your body to fix itself, and we're providing the calming environment for that to happen. Heat is very inflammatory, but it can be soothing as well. So that's why the combination baths are so popular. And you're seeing this tub is filling up nice and consistent in shape. By the time we get it to about, I'm going to say, once you get it to about 3/4 of the way full, that's as much as you need, because you're going to overflow it by the time you actually get in it. But if you only want to be into a waistline, it's already filled enough for that. So I'm going to do this to you because I'm on the spot live, and I'm going to let you see my actual reaction. Here's the difference though. I don't have the 20 pounds of ice in this, but this water is still cold. It is still very, very cold. Because I let the water run out of the spigot for a little while to eliminate the warm. So you're going to get to see my reaction getting in here, and then I'll explain to you some different things. The drain pipe, if you're not wanting to release this in your home and you're wanting to use it in using the drain pipe, it is 39 inches long. Okay, give me a second to turn the hose off. And like I said, this is not super cold, as cold as it should be. Because we have it sitting on a pad, it shouldn't hurt as much to get into it. I got a chair behind me, so if you want to drape your legs over the edge and just do your feet, it is cold. If you have an ankle injury, this works great, just like it is for ankle submersion, for the purpose of removing inflammation in the joint and working the lymphatic mechanical pumps through the constriction and dilation of our vessels, which allows for pumping of gunk out of the extremity back to the lymphatic system. But as we mentioned earlier, the drain pipe is about 39 inches long, so you can drain. Once you actually get it filled, you can't move. You can't move it. It's over 700 pounds. Do not put any chemicals in the water. It actually voids your warranty if you do that. And you don't want to be in direct sunlight because the sunlight breaks it down. So we got our feet in there. That's one way to do it. You can just stand in here. This would be about the same temperature of a really cold swimming pool. And this is about as far as I would get into a swimming pool in spring that's not had time to sit in the sun and heat itself, or not having a heater. I don't know what the temperature is of this, but I could get a thermometer and we could check it. It's probably going to be somewhere in the ballpark of about 70 degrees probably. So not enough cold for creating the results that most of you are going to want. So you're going to have ice on some level. But for people who have autoimmune, I've got fibromyalgia, systemic inflammation. This is an easy way to get started so that I can get used to it. And then once I'm used to the meditational experience, then we can actually make it colder. So I'm going to go in for the dip. Oh, yes. And so now we're talking fight or flight versus rest recovery. So we're talking sympathetic versus parasympathetic. Okay. So what I want you to remember is, if you're sympathetic, you're fight or flight. You're fighting it. Like, we don't want to fight it. Whew, okay. And for what it's worth, I'm not moving like you would in a swimming pool, so this does not get any warmer. Okay. So we're going to go more towards the torso. And I'm embracing this because I know, I know what it's doing. So I'm thinking about what I'm going to feel like when I get out of here and my body doesn't feel as tense. It doesn't hurt the same way. I'm actually sitting on my knees right now. I'm about 5'5", and I'm sitting on my knees. So what I want you to think about, I have actually done this with athletes in years past because of the nature of my job. And so when I get them into the tub in like full submersion of ice, I'll ask them questions to think about, to take their mind off of what they actually feel instead of them only focusing on how miserable it might feel. So just remember, okay, there we go. You just got to take your mind somewhere else because it is a parasympathetic response for rest, relaxation, gut regulation. If you got gut issues, really good for gut regulation. It just kind of zaps the system and pushes the restart button and allows your body to restore its ability of homeostasis, which is how it regulates itself. You can see I'm kind of moving back and forth because it's keeping me moving, which works even more as a pump. Okay. But as you saw, I got into the tub very slowly. I'm talking to you, so I'm actually using my diaphragm to breathe. And now I'm going to sit all the way down on my bottom, which means my neck and shoulders. Yes. Okay. So now got in the tub slowly. My neck has something to rest on. Putting water on your chest or your back, just using your cold water in your sink helps you in learning how to adjust. And we want to make sure that we are focusing on our breathing instead of focusing on fighting. Okay. We don't want to fight it. We want to embrace it. Okay. So what I want you to remember is you're going to breathe in nice and controlled through your nose, not your mouth. So breathing in. I want you to hold that breath for just a few seconds, and then I want you to blow out like you're blowing through a straw, like a really chubby straw, okay? Blowing out as long as you can. I like to do 4 to 6 seconds breathing in. I like to hold it for just 2 or 3 seconds, and then I like to actually blow out for 8 to 10 seconds. It takes a lot of practice, so don't bail out on the meditational breathing that goes along with this therapy because it's really powerful if you combine the both. So breathing in, blowing out. Here's a little secret for you. The diaphragm works in combination with your psoas major, your iliopsoas muscle series. That is your fight or flight muscle group. It's the number one fight or flight muscle. And if we become threatened or we feel like we're fighting stress or physical challenges, we want to make sure that we are breathing properly using the diaphragm because it actually releases the psoas naturally without having to find another way to release it, which releases low back pain. So if you have low back pain and if your psoas is tight and if you are stressed out, you can actually take away back pain by just plunging in the Allevachill and breathing. Okay. Now, remember what I told you. We want to only submerge for 7 minutes or less if you are at a temperature of 42 to 57 degrees, okay? Because you can actually suffer frostbite. So I've been in here for long enough that I should be done if this had ice in it. But because the water is cold, not frigid, like not icy, but because the water is chilled, okay, I can be in here a little bit longer, which actually continues to calm the system down, just at not at the same level as what you would if you actually had ice in here. So if you are wanting to have that acclimating experience and you don't want to just go in the deep end without a life preserver on, you're wanting to learn how to wade through the shallow end before you learn how to swim so that you can survive in the deep end, right? You want to ease in through different variations of temperature and different lengths of time. Really, really good though for different body parts. If you have shoulder pain, it's great to being able to just submerge below the shoulders. And now you actually are changing how energy flows through the shoulders. Okay. So again, focusing on breathing slow and deep through your nose, not through your mouth. Make sure you're breathing in through your nose, I like to blow out through a very small straw or like a chubby straw. Think about a smoothie straw through your mouth. And if you want to learn how to do therapeutic breathing strictly through the nose, you can actually put tape over your mouth, which forces your lungs to learn how to breathe with the diaphragm and with the autonomic nervous system specifically. So it is a really neat concept in science when it comes to people who have any kind of sleep apnea or they have trouble breathing at night, asthma. Those individuals under controlled setting, if you're learning how to breathe with your mouth sealed, our nose is meant to inhale all of the oxygen and cleanses the air as we breathe through our nose with special little hairs and fibers before it enters in our lungs. When we breathe through our mouth, we're actually inhaling dirty air. So if you're trying to work on sinus challenges, trying to work on sleep apnea, working on exercise-induced asthma, there's a lot of different things that you can do just breathing without even plunging. So there's a lot of great science and videos and programs that you can work with and practice with leadership. Now, more tips and tricks about how to use this. If you begin to feel a little uncomfortable beyond your comfort zone, like you can't work your way through it mentally or physically, step on out, warm up your body, and feel free to try it again. You can do it multiple times a day. We just don't want to do it for a lengthened amount of time nonstop. Okay, so make sure that you are warming your body back up. That's why we do another pool, another tub over here of warm water. You can do a combo treatment. So you got a chill tub, you got a heat tub, and you're bouncing back and forth between the two. Explosive. It is a great therapy application. Now, in order to do that though, you have to have hot water, okay, which is easier said than done. So that's when you're actually going to have to attach a water hose to your sink where you can actually turn on hot water, because you can't put a heater in the water. That would be a bad idea. Okay, so now the other thing to focus on, you can sit on your bottom, you can kneel on your knees, you can stand and just partially submerge from your thighs down if you got knee issues or hip issues. You can actually put a soft stool in here. Matter of fact, bear with me here. I'm gonna jump out here. I actually have me a little stool here. You can actually stick that in here, but just make sure that it's got like little, it's got like a soft, this has little silicone bottom, so it's not like ripping the bottom out. I'm gonna bring you closer to me so I actually can see what you're saying. I did not add ice because it is 100 degrees out here today, and we had a hard time being able to contain it. But I would suggest about 20 to 25 pounds of ice. So here's my stool. If you wanted to use a kneeling pad, but remember, nothing sharp. There we are. Now we're sitting on something elevated. So now what you can do, if you're using this, I'm leaning back. If you're using this with your toes, is you can do ankle pumps. You can do ankle circles if you've got an ankle injury or you have foot ankle pain. You just had a surgery and you can't be loaded yet, but you're in a walking boot. No fractures. You can get in and do foot ankle rehab. So we'll actually create, I will be happy to do another video on how to do ankle or lower extremity rehab in a cryo chill experience with the Allevachill Ice Tub. But we do not have ice in here. I would suggest a minimum of 10 pounds of ice because you're going to melt it with your own body weight. Remember, our body is already at 97 degrees on average, and it can be as high as 99 without being a fever. And that is actually counteracting the ice. So you have to make sure you have enough ice that you are getting therapeutic benefits by the time you melt it. What I would suggest you do, we didn't demonstrate this because we didn't have the 25 to 30 pounds of ice available. What I would do is put ice in it first and fill it up about halfway with ice and then fill it up with water. Whenever we are making ice buckets, that's how we kind of do it, is we fill up with ice first, and then we fill whatever it is that we're using for therapy applications in a sports medicine setting. Then we actually fill up the water over the ice so that the ice doesn't melt before it actually is taken over with water. And you can kind of get an idea of how much water is going to rise the ice up so that you don't waste ice. Because the worst thing you can do is fill it up halfway and you pour ice in and then you overflow it and then you're out. It's almost 100 gallons. It's 92.5 gallons of water. It took me about 10 minutes at the most to fill it up with just a garden hose on a low pressure. So yeah, so those are just some ideas. Yes, my water is from my garden hose. I'm sitting outside, but we do have a hose attachment that you can attach to the outside that you can attach to your sink, or another spigot if you don't have a hose to work from. We actually include a very short hose. It's about 39 inches in length. That it's like a slinky hose. It does not seal 100%. So just make sure if you are camping or you are using it outside or inside your garage or wherever it is you're using, once you fill it up, you cannot move it, okay? Because it's over 700 pounds when it's full. Now, I'm sitting out here and it's like 100 degrees and this feels great, but you saw me like, right? It's all about breathing. It's all about appreciation. It's all about intention. It's about knowing what you're doing to your body to give your body the optimal opportunity to thrive without us guarding it, right? Okay, so as you are getting used to things, let's make sure that you are only starting with just a few minutes at a time to seeing how your body adjusts and handles it. If you have Raynaud's syndrome with your feet or with your hands, they make on Amazon, you can buy neoprene foot booties that you can wear on your feet so that if you are really sensitive to cold on your feet and it causes you numbness, tingling, pins and needles and pain, but you're wanting to get the cryo for your lower leg and your knee, you can actually wear these neoprene. It's made out of the same stuff as what a wetsuit is made out of. You can wear those on your feet to get used to being in such a cold environment. And the reason why it's harder for your feet to feel the extreme cold different from your other joints and body parts is because 80% of the nociceptor nerve cells that provide your brain with feedback about how it's adapting to its surroundings are on the skin on the bottom of your feet, as with all of your nerve endings. So the feet, the bottom of the feet are really powerful from a neurosensory standpoint and communicating with the brain. And if you already have a type of neuropathy or Raynaud's syndrome, or you've had a surgery and your nerves are not coming back around 100% just yet, you're going to be extremely sensitive to cold water therapy. So you can buy some, LifePro does not sell these, but if you go on Amazon and type in neoprene booties or neoprene foot covers, a lot of athletes use those in whirlpool cryo plunges because they don't want to feel it in their feet, but they want to feel it in their hips or in their back or what have you. So you can find that on Amazon. I've used that for 20 years with athletes in the athletic training room. So, and because we have all these uprights, I can lean back and chillax a little bit. The uprights will hold my weight. There's really not a max weight capacity, but I will tell you that individuals who are 6 foot tall, your knees are going to be up to your chest. You can't go legs straight out in front of you. This is actually a pretty cool little chillaxing situation here. Now, this is not the time to get yourself an alcoholic or an adult beverage. Do not combine alcohol or drugs with cryotherapy because you're tricking the nervous system and we want you to actually be in tune with what you feel. So do not drink alcohol or use substance that you're not already prescribed to using while you are plunging in any kind of water because it make you a little loopy. And remember, it only takes 2 inches of water to actually drown. So don't do that. Not good. Okay. Don't use the ice tub any longer than 10 or 15 minutes at a time. If you are comfortable and you're seasoned as a user and your body has gotten used to that application, you're acclimated to it, it's fine to go longer, 15 minutes or so. But again, if you're just getting started And if you have a compromised immune system, and if your body's not used to things, then just stick to like 2 to 5 minutes getting started, 5 to 7 minutes after that. Contraindications, really, really important. If you are under the influence of substance, no go, okay? Do not use immediately after eating or if you're tired. Why? Because if you've just eaten, what does the parasympathetic nervous system do? It's rest, recovery, digestion. And if you are shocking the system with cryo, it causes the gut to like to go tight. We don't want to do that after you've eaten. It'll make you sick. So wait for about 30 minutes. It's the same rule applies to swimming. Make sure that you're giving yourself like 20 to 30 minutes after you eat so that your body can actually digest before it goes into this recovery mode of the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay. If you're pregnant or if you have recently given birth, no go. Like this is contraindicated for pregnancy, and it's also contraindicated right after birth. Why is that? Because your pelvis and your nervous system are most vulnerable right after you deliver a child. So if you have just delivered a baby, this is not a good time to do a cold plunge. Can you do a warm sitz bath? Yes. So ladies, if you have challenges with your womanhood parts, and if your doctor tells you to do a sitz bath or to do a soak, an Epsom salt soak, you can use Epsom salt in this, and it is healthy for you to do that under the leadership of your physician if he tells you whether it's hemorrhoids or whether it's inflammatory challenges with your groin. You can actually use this with warm water and Epsom salt in order to help with inflammation, and it's safe to do that. But if you've just recently given birth, make sure that you check with your physician. You don't want to use chill, but you can actually use warm soaks after you've given birth. Remember, anytime you've had surgery where you actually have sutures, you do not want to submerge your body part or your extremity in any deep water, which is considered a tub, for until you have your sutures out and until you have cleared that with your physician because of risk of infection. Okay. If you are using ice and you've been in the ice for longer than 7 minutes and you start to chill a lot, get out. It means your body's going into a hypothermia type situation. Not good. Like you're going to shock. So don't do that to yourself. And if you need more feedback on that, let us know. We'll be happy to help in providing you some direction. More contraindications. If you have a pacemaker, an internal defibrillator, or if you have got any other type of cardiac implants, make sure and talk to your physician first. Because again, when you shock the system, and we're talking about the central nervous system operating the brain, the lungs, the heart, which affects breathing and heart rate, the autonomic nervous system, which also includes your vagus nerve, also affects your heart rate and your breathing, even though it's a separate nervous system. So make sure and check with your physician if you have any of those types of implants or surgery. It doesn't have to do with the metal or the electrical current. It has to do with shocking the nerves using the cold water. If you have a history of vascular disease, you've got a heart arrhythmia, you've got deep vein thrombosis, or you have a condition that makes you hypersensitive to cold. Again, I have fibromyalgia, and this feels great now that I'm used to it. I don't have the ice in here. If I have the ice in here, here's the other thing you can do. You can just start with 5 pounds of ice. If you just want to try 5 pounds of ice and see how you do with 5 pounds of ice, then you build up to 10 pounds of ice, because the more ice you put in it, the higher the chances of hypothermia and frostbite actually happen. I am out here sitting in 100 degree of weather with extreme heat and humidity, and you can still suffer hypothermia or frostbite by putting too much ice in this tub with cold water and staying submerged. Even though upper body feels great, lower body is still submerged. Let's see here. Mention that gut health docs make a comment about helping this. How often do you need to get that reset? Honestly, you can start with once a week. You can do this just getting started for gut regulation, because remember, The majority of our sympathetic, let me go back. Majority of your serotonin hormone is in the gut. And the majority of autoimmune disease actually originates in the gut. So if you're trying to zap the gut to stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system and work the vagus nerve using the polyvagal nerve theory, look that up online. There's a lot of information. Like I said, we'll talk about that in another episode where we really dive into that and how the strategy of how to apply that. This is just opening up a whole nother door with Amber, right? This is where Amber really shines when it comes to therapeutic application, because this is my wheelhouse. It has been for over 20 years. And I've been doing this professionally as a licensed certified professional for over 20 years in a medical setting. And now we're bringing medical to your home. So I can give you all those strategies. We'll get into that. But once a week, just to get acclimated, 5 minutes or less. And then once you get used to that, then we can add, some people will get in every day. Some will do every other day. So make sure that you're acclimating to, just as you would if you were working at an altitude, as opposed to just going right in, like all in. This is not, my friends, this is not an all in type of therapy. You do not go all in just because you're trying to prove you're tough. That's a really stupid idea. So please go back, rewind, review, watch the video again, listen to my recommendations, how to ease into this, how to moderate the temperature if you need to. Like I said, I'm sitting on a step stool in here right now that has a little extra padding under the feet so that I'm not hurting the tub itself. If you use any chemicals other than Epsom salt, you can even use essential oils, okay? You can actually drop peppermint or lavender or different essential oils in here as well. But just remember, once you put like chlorine or bromine or the different chemicals that you would use for your pool or shock in order to try and disinfect, don't do that. This is not meant to hold up to that. So it voids the warranty. When it comes to cleaning the tub, you're going to drain it. You're going to use Dawn dish detergent or a gentle soap. If you like to use a certain kind of laundry detergent on your laundry because you're hypersensitive to chemicals, use a sponge, use a hose and soap, and that's all it takes. And then it just air dry it, okay? So let's show you how to drain the pool, drain my tub here. The Allevachill, again, $119.99 if you want to do a combo treatment where you can fill it up with really, really warm water, 100 to 104 degrees. You can combine the two, have one sitting here, one sitting here. Life is great. But yeah, we're going to ease out because remember, as soon as you ease out, you're getting contact with the air, so it changes your internal body temperature. And so easing out, make sure you've got a non-slip surface around you. I'm on wood and I'm sitting on a pad. Now, you're going to see, I'm going to bring you here to my level so you can see this. You're going to see a drain pipe here, okay? On the bottom, there you go. Now you can see it. You're going to see this drain pipe. And we're just going to turn the valve to here. And then guess what? It's leaking. That's how easy it is to drain, okay? So you don't have to pull the plug on the inside. You can just pull this valve, and then if you just want to drain it a little bit, we just turn it. So how cool is that? So if you get it filled too much and you're wanting to change the level inside without draining it all the way, you make sure that I'm working with electronics here. So this is a no-no around other electronical devices and water, okay? So as I'm turning it right at you, so you can ease in, so you can control the flow at which it's leaking out, or you can stop it, okay? And then inside, I'm giving you an inside visual, okay? You can see the hole down in there. That's the plug, okay? So once you pull that plug, you can leak it through the bottom if you know exactly where you want to drain, okay? So there's that, giving you an outside view of what all this looks like, okay? And there we have it. So there is our Allevachill cryotherapy tub, and you provide your own ice. I can lean in here to unplug it. And if you don't want to unplug it, I unplugged it, so we're not only releasing it through the bottom, I can also release it off to the side. My plants need the water, so we're going to go through the side. And then if you want to save the water and just use it several days in a row, you can put a cover on it, and you can contain the water. Now, one thing you can do, this is not meant to contain ice cold water. It doesn't have the insulation factor for that. But if you're wanting to maintain your ice, you actually could probably find a way to make a cover that's more insulated to keep it much, much colder, okay? If you're wanting to keep it indoors. So I know a lot of people who do that. If they're in a colder environment, you can do that. Now, the other thing is wear as little as possible so that you, when you have a lot of clothes on and you are submerged, when you get out, it's actually a lot harder on your body. So wear as little as possible. And yes, the tub is meant to use naked if you want to submerge naked. But if you need that extra insulation around your toes, or wear gloves. They actually make neoprene gloves for your hands. If you have neuropathy in your hands and your feet, but you're wanting to zap the system, just remember less is better. And as soon as you get out of that cold water, get out of those cold clothes as quickly as possible. When you do get out, if you want to take a shower, make sure that when you get into the shower, you're going to be hypersensitive to the actual temperature of the water of your shower. So err to the side of caution and make sure that you're easing into a warm shower and not going extreme hot, because it's actually going to feel different on your body going from extreme cold to extreme hot. So ease into that shower. It'll actually feel great. I feel awesome. Normally I hate cold. That actually felt great, and I actually kind of needed that. So I've been dealing with some autoimmune challenges with my mouth. My body is attacking mucous membranes in my mouth, and it is a complication. It can be stress induced, but for fibromyalgia sufferers, it's very common to have other challenges. So I needed to zap the vagus system, the vagus nerve, parasympathetic nervous system, so that my body can actually heal. And when you have systemic inflammation through your whole body on a cellular level, the more cells that we have that are inflamed, the more other conditions come out that most doctors can't even explain where it's coming from. So yeah, so it's a great, great product. But $119.99, we're just going to say $120 to keep it simple. It does have its limited lifetime warranty. It is made of a thick ripstop material on the outside and vinyl on the inside. Great product. I look forward to seeing you next time, in which we can talk about how to do certain exercises in for the therapeutic benefit of foot ankle recovery or knee, or learning the breathing. We'll actually do a meditational experience with just breathing. I look forward to a whole series of how to use the Allevachill Ice Tub with all of you. And until next time, be safe. This heat wave is really kicking a lot of tails, and really good cold water submersion. If you are dealing with heat exhaustion or heat illness, it's great for reversing that and taking the body out of that extreme heated condition where our body suffers and calms our core temperature down. So take advantage of it. It's now available, and I look forward to seeing you again here in the next week. Have a great day.